Welcome to Let the Play Develop podcast. I'm joined as always by my co-hosts Seth and Nate. My name's Steven, and we're going to get straight into this week's episode. We have a couple of things. First, we have some more weekly news as always, and then we have a news segment called Pick One. So lots of good stuff to get into today.
Very true. So as a Wizards fan, I just want to declare I'm coming out of my depression. I think I finally see light for the future.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, it's been a hard, long road, but I think I've come to terms that we should trade Bradley Beal.
Ah,
wow.
that's definitely true. You should.
In the
The
offseason.
fact that he's wanted to not be on that team for the last 3 years.
I don't know. He's been back and forth. He can't make a clear statement. He's like, I want to be here. I don't want to be here. Or I don't think he said, I don't want to be here, but the media keeps saying that. But then he keeps saying, I want to be here. But I think it's for the money.
Yeah,
That's fair.
It's that toxic relationship that you just can't get rid of.
Dear God. As a UNC fan, I'm still mourning the loss from Sunday. Me and Steven were actually at the UNC NC State games. That was a tough existence for me.
What a time.
Yeah.
PNC has not been so loud in a long time.
Then we were all at the NC State Wake Forest game.
We were.
And so this is the week that Seth has endured 2 NC State games in the same week. How are you feeling?
Honestly, Wednesday was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's just because, I mean, it makes sense.
I was fine. I was glad they beat Wake Forest.
Rest
I
in
wasn't as
peace.
happy that we didn't beat Notre Dame by a lot, but it's okay.
It is what it is.
Hey,
We got the win.
at least you guys were able to beat Clemson.
Very true.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, if a team is able to shoot like above 55% from 3, it's hard to beat them. Dear God. That's on fire.
Very fair.
There's 2 losers for the week. Loser number 1, Wake Forest. Because they not only took the loss, but they lost their best players.
Oh, I feel so bad for them.
Maybe they're fine. I hope they are.
They should have been a tournament team, and they really lost.
Loss number 2, the pride of Virginia fans, because they lost by 15 to Boston College.
That makes no sense. And I guarantee you tonight when they play Carolina, they'll play well, and we'll just be confused as to how they lost by 15.
I'm so scared that they're going to come out with a vengeance.
NC State was able to go to Boston College and win by 30. Okay, so Virginia is surely better than losing by 15.
I think the spirits of Kyle Guy and DeAndre Hunter are going to possess the Virginia team, and they're going to dominate. And Malcolm Brogdon is going to come back and help them tonight.
I was going to say, that's like the one, like Tony Bennett I think he likes playing UNC just because for some reason he matches up perfectly against what they tried to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good point.
Anyways, let's get right into your weekly news segment. So, starting off with the NFL, Brock Purdy is aiming for a March elbow surgery for the injury that he sustained in I think it was the
NFC champ.
NFC Championship.
Yeah.
They've been waiting for the swelling in his right elbow to reduce. That's what's taking so long. The actual
Injury?
thank you, is diagnosis. That's what I was looking for.
Okay, there you go.
Is a torn ulnar collateral ligament. Ulnar? Okay, sorry. Thank
that's
you.
why we have
I was going
Nate
to say,
here.
I was going to say, don't you have like a medical degree?
Not exactly.
Almost,
but it's
that was it.
Somewhat. There's a 6-month recovery period, which puts him getting back in August, barring any additional surgeries, which he may have to repair anything else that doesn't heal properly when he has the surgery.
Have they tried putting ice on it to get the swelling down?
No, real quick, though, he's expected to come back in August? Like, he's ready to play? He should be ready to play in August? Or
Yeah, apparently.
That's an insane turnaround.
That is.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, Trey Lance apparently is going to handle all the preseason duties with
Poor
the
Trey
team, like
Lance.
camp and everything.
Trey Lance was like on a podcast and he was like trying to say that wasn't which he was right to an extent, like that wasn't a real NFC championship. I mean, they didn't have a quarterback, so I get that.
What do you mean?
Whose fault
Christian
is that,
McCaffrey was
Trey?
going to go crazy.
That's wild.
All right.
Oh, wait, real quick. What would you guys do if you're like the 49ers? Do you stick with the guy that lost so much draft capital with Trey Lance, or do you like go with Brock Purdy, who got you to an NFC championship?
Here's what I would do if I was behind the scenes of the 49ers. I'm going to say, hey, Brock, I know you're healthy, but you're not actually healthy. Mm-hmm. We're benching you until week 6. Trey Lance is going to play those 6 games, and as we approach, I don't know when the trade deadline is in the NFL, whatever how that lines
it's like
up.
7 or 8.
As we approach that trade deadline, I'm like, oh look, Brock Purdy's returning to health. Look how good Trey Lance has been playing, guys, and then I trade him for capital.
That's fair.
I mean, that seems like a fair way to handle it. We'll see if you're right.
Yeah. Moving on from that, the Rams released All-Pro middle linebacker Bobby Wagner.
I think I didn't watch a whole lot of Rams games, but I think he played okay this season, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he'll probably get picked up somewhere for his leadership.
What year was he All-Pro? Because it's been a while, right?
Has it been a while? I feel like he made it 2 years ago.
That could be
wrong.
right.
I mean,
it's just like football cliffs are so steep. Like
They
once you
are.
step off, you
That's
start.
true.
Not that Bobby Wagner was necessarily bad. I want him in my locker room, but he's just Legion of Doom was a long time ago. Legion of Boom, sorry.
no, I mean you're right. Sometimes with we focus more on the NBA, and even a guy who's like on a decline can be on a decline for a couple years before he gets useless. And then even like Carmelo Anthony, people thought he was done. He was still able to have a fantastic NBA comeback, but like it's not quite the same in the NFL.
Look at Vince Carter. He's a good picture of that.
Mm-hmm.
He was he's a 6-time first-team All-Pro 2014, 2016 through 2020, and then 3-time second-team All-Pro 2015, 2021, and 2022.
Okay.
Wait, so you made second team All Pro last year?
Last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, he still had that.
He can't help that that the Rams had the biggest Super Bowl hangover.
This is like this could be a whole segment talking about the Rams' future, but like they don't have a whole lot of draft capital.
No.
Their team looked awful this past year.
They dealt with a lot of
They're
injuries.
trying to trade Jalen Ramsey. Like
Their team's getting kind of older now.
Aaron Donald could be retiring. Like, ooh,
What if I told you that Bobby Wagner had that dog in him?
I would believe
I
it.
want him on the Panthers, please. I
yeah.
want him on the Panthers now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Panthers would really benefit from the defensive leadership of Bobby.
I just want J.C. Horn to play a whole season.
Just have someone in the middle. Because we have our linebacker core is probably what needs the most work out of everything because our line's nice, our secondary's nice. That middle linebacker spot needs some help.
True.
And we need cornerback depth.
He could be
that too.
the second coming of Thomas Davis for your team.
I would love that.
That would be
please.
awesome.
Played in a Super Bowl with his arm looking like a football. And anyways, moving on from that, Russell Wilson. So this has been a report that came out this week.
Yeah.
Apparently, the reason that the Seahawks traded away Russell Wilson was that he wanted Pete Carroll gone
Out the door.
out the door, and of course Russell Wilson denies it because what is he going to say? Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. But I kind of believe it because.
No, I believe it, but
It probably became like a me or him situation.
I think that Russell Wilson, his brand is the nice guy persona. So if that came out and it was true, that hurts his brand. I think the Subway commercials hurt his brand. We're not going to talk about that. I'm sorry, Russ. I respect you as a quarterback. And I respect you as a person. I just think that there sometimes that where you just have to flow with your personality rather than trying to push a narrative.
Yeah, that's tough because, like, obviously, I mean, we probably will never know for sure if that's true, but there definitely seems to be some, like, there's a fragment of truth in that. And, I mean, he came out just a couple hours ago and said that, like, Pete Carroll's always been, like, a father figure to him, and excuse me for forgetting, but their GM's the same one that drafted him, and he was the one that trusted him and gave him a chance, and so he would never do that to them. But
what would the Seahawks benefit out of this narrative, considering they did better than Russ did?
Yeah, I don't think they have anything to prove.
No,
Like,
I don't think
they wouldn't
so
gain
either.
anything, right?
No.
The only person who would gain anything out of this is Russ, if he proved that he didn't say that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
And even then, I don't think it proves anything. I think it just doesn't discount him as like the nice guy.
Yeah, I still don't think it just makes him seem like he's not the nice guy. I mean, now there's a difference between saying it's me or him or saying I want Pete Carroll fired. Mm-hmm. Those are two different things, Like they both mean the same thing, but there's a tonal difference between those.
Honestly, whatever happened, it worked out for the Seahawks. They looked nice this year. What a comeback from Geno Smith. And and they still have their wide receiver core. Their defense didn't look too great, but they played.
Well, they got some good rookies. That's
They
what
have
matters.
some good rookies.
They did. They got Kobe Bryant on their team. That's kind of crazy.
It is. Just real quick question, just because we can throw a question to any segment of news. Do you think Russell Wilson's going to bounce back next year? Like the Broncos' offense, do you think it's due for an uptick, or are we expecting more of the same?
He looked so much better after Nathaniel Hackett was gone.
I think it'll be better than it was last year. I don't think that could get worse. I don't know how much better. That's the thing.
Well, you got Sean Payton coming in.
That does help
That
a
is
lot.
true.
Small quarterback coach, so
Yeah.
he's going to turn him into that Drew Brees play style.
Dear God.
And having Javonte Williams back, surely. I
That's
don't
gonna
know
help
when
him.
he's going to come back, but
Or what he's going to look like when he comes back.
That's also
that's
true.
very true. Yeah, it has to go up at least a little bit, you would imagine.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyways, for the sake of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, the main stars on that team.
Just two old heads trying to make it through.
I was going to say, because Sean Payton's going to want something to prove, because, do we know anything about Sean Payton as a coach without Drew Brees? I mean, not.
No, but I mean at the same time, he's built enough of a legacy that he was worth the late first round pick.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Which is kind of crazy that you traded a first round pick for a coach.
That's still so nuts
valuable.
to me that you can trade for coaches in the NFL.
Well, it's
That's
just
so
because he was
trade
still.
for anything.
I was going to say, he was
Yeah.
still under contract with the Saints when he,
I want your stadium.
I mean,
Give
wasn't it was it Kyle Korver or JJ Redick that was involved
Oh, it was
in
Kyle Korver.
the printer trade?
Yeah, he got traded for for money that was used to buy a printer. Kyle Korver,
Wait, what?
when he was drafted, was traded to or from the Brooklyn. I think the Brooklyn Nets drafted him, and they traded him away for a printer, basically.
That's so disrespectful.
That is.
I mean, they got more cash considerations than that, but still.
But the big thing that they got from the Kyle Korver
Was a
trade was a
printer.
printer. So that's tough.
And before we move on from the NFL, Matt Nagy has been promoted to offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Because he looked so great as the head coach of the Bears, and their offense
Timeout.
didn't get extremely better this year after he left.
Before we get disrespectful, we can't say, oh, has Sean Payton been carried by the success of Drew Brees? In the same concept, has Matt Nagy been destroyed by the terribleness of Mitch Trubisky?
No, Matt, I will never give Matt Nagy credit. I'm sorry.
I mean, they did have a good offense there for 1 year.
I'm pretty sure they ran the ball on first down, on 2nd and 9, and then on 3rd and 8. I'm pretty sure that's all
Are
they
you
did
sure you're
under
not
him.
talking about the Panthers' offense last season?
That's true.
But it's just look at the difference between Matt Nagy with Justin Fields the year before this year, and then look at what Justin Fields and that offense was able to do this year when they didn't have Matt Nagy.
I mean, that's a good point, but was Justin, he developed too.
That's
true.
also fair.
I'm just glad that Patrick Mahomes is Matt Nagy proof, so we'll never
Hopefully.
know. He will be, because Andrew Reid will probably be calling the plays.
That's
He's gonna
fair,
Be a
yeah.
glorified.
I mean, yeah, he's got Andy Reid there, so it
That
doesn't
is
matter
true.
either way. Good point.
That's very true. Moving on from the NFL, in the NBA this week, veteran guard Patrick Beverley signed with the Bulls. He said he wanted to take out the Lakers in the playoffs. I don't know how that's going to work because as of right now, I don't think either of them are even slated to make the playoffs.
No, the Lakers will make the playoffs. The Bulls, I would be surprised if they made the playoffs. They will not make it out of the first round. Like, the Lakers at least have a chance to make it out of the first round. The Bulls
Fair.
will not make it out of the first round.
The Bulls' defensive rating went up by 13 points, though, I'm sure, like in 2K terms, because they played Brooklyn and held them to 50 points when they had 100. Last night, in the fourth quarter, with
They're up
9
by
minutes
50,
left,
yeah.
the score was 101 to 51. Pat Bev's first night.
Yeah.
All credit to Pat
Well,
Bev. No one else on the Bolton. I'm just kidding.
I do have to say it makes a lot of sense for the Bulls because what they're really missing from and think about it, they were a good team last year. They completely fell apart in the playoffs, but they were a good team in the regular season last year. And the big piece that they're missing that they had last year was Lonzo Ball. So it kind of, I'm not saying Pat Beverly makes up for not having Lonzo Ball, but defensively it kind of gives you the same.
Yeah.
So it makes sense,
Yeah.
but they're not making it to the finals. I don't think that's crazy to say.
That leads us into our next bit of news. Lonzo Ball is out for the remainder of the season.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah, the Bulls just announced they're letting him recover fully. They're not trying to bring him back at all this season.
He should have never put his foot into a BBB shoe.
Nah, bro.
The big
That
baller
was
brand.
the end of the end.
That's so sad because he's such a great defender, man.
He's amazing.
And
He was
playmaker.
and
good shooter
playmaker.
now.
He
Yeah.
he had improved
Once he got
tremendously
to-
as a shooter.
Yeah, once he got to New Orleans, he like figured out how to shoot the ball, and he's been good ever since then.
I wonder why he forgot how to shoot between college and pro and then learned how to shoot again.
because his form wasn't great.
But he
Yeah.
was shooting good with that form in college.
He was, but it's just I
Maybe
think
NBA players are just quicker to contest
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
I
You
think
couldn't
that's
get
what
it
it is.
off in time because you're bringing the ball all the way from one shoulder to the other before
Exactly.
and
you're
it's
shooting
kind of a low release point, so I don't think it. I just don't
Playing
think
against average taller players.
Yeah.
It's not going to help him.
Speaking of shooting forms, do y'all remember Ryan Anderson?
Of course, yeah, he was
That
a great
man's
stretch forward.
form was beautiful. That was random. I know, but I think him and Klay Thompson have the best shooting forms in the league.
Probably,
Klay
yeah.
Thompson.
Well,
Thompson's
Ryan
is
Anderson's retired, but you know what I mean.
Right, yeah.
That's literally what the last like Rockets team he was on. That's all he was on that team to do was just shoot the ball.
Yep.
And that's
Stand
all he
in your
needed to
corner
do.
and when you're open, shoot the ball.
And he got paid bank to do it too.
Honestly,
You just described the role of PJ Tucker too.
At least PJ Tucker provided defense.
he can.
but-
Yeah, he can play defense.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I wasn't trying to discount. He's known for his defense.
Yeah, but
on
on
the offense,
he
you're in that
sits
corner.
the corner.
PJ.
No,
Yeah, don't
literally,
move.
He's a great corner shooter, and that's because he doesn't leave the corner.
Oh my gosh! All right, so Russell Westbrook signs with the Clippers after being waived by the Jazz.
I love it.
I think it's funny that he went to the other LA team. I like it.
And he dropped 17 points, 14 assists last night.
Yep.
They lost, but they put up 175 points.
Only
so
thing
how
is, he
mad
had
can you be?
7 turnovers.
Yeah,
and
and-
Andy fouled out, which isn't great.
He had
you
7 turnovers?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
That's bad.
you can kind of give that to like he's still. I mean, he might not even. I'm sure he knows everyone on the team's names and stuff, but like he doesn't know what their tendencies to do are. So
Yeah.
No.
you can
Well-
attribute some of that to just the freshness of being there.
He also
Hopefully, it goes down.
It depends on when he fouled out because fouling out in a double overtime game is not unheard
Not
of.
bad at all.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, I mean, as you
I
said,
didn't think about it when double overtime. You're right.
he doesn't have chemistry. So if he's on a 2-to-1 ratio now without knowing everything, and once he gets that developed, that'll be a lot better. But I saw a video on Instagram today of just back on the Thunder. It was Russell Westbrook being hyped up by campaign on the sideline every game. It was beautiful.
I know that was like the peak Russell Westbrook Thunder. I mean,
crazy.
it wasn't the peak Thunder as far as winning, but like that was when it was hype over there.
Yeah.
Which actually, you just mentioned it. The Kings beat the Clippers 176 to 175 in double overtime.
Is that the
The
All-Star game?
second highest scoring game in NBA history. That's crazy.
It's crazy that it's the second highest.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
170 from both teams is the second highest. I think it was sometime in the 80s. I don't know what happened.
Those
Dear
Alex
God,
English
the
days.
80s.
Yeah, it was in the 80s. I can't remember. I think it was like Pistons Nuggets or something like that.
Yeah, because Alex English was in that game, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Look at
I
that.
think I could be wrong, but
that deep basketball.
he was a
knowledge.
great scorer. And
In that game, De'Aaron Fox scored 42 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, and had 5 steals, and was a footnote on his team. Malik Monk off the bench for the Kings scored 45 points off the bench.
there goes that man.
I would just like to say, me and you, so smart on basketball knowledge. It was Alex English, and it was the Detroit Pistons versus the Denver Nuggets.
Let's
They won
go.
186
Dang.
to 184. So, what did you say the final score of the other game was?
176, 175.
So they're about 20 combined points off. That's crazy that they're still about 20
That's
combined points off of that.
Ridiculous.
So, as a Hornets fan, how does it feel to know Malik Monk is striving out in these streets now?
Oh, I always liked Malik Monk. I'm happy for him. I honestly, any player that leaves the Hornets and does great outside the Hornets, I cheer for them because
Yeah.
as good of a player as Michael Jordan was, the owner side of Michael Jordan just doesn't. I think he started to step back a little bit more, but I know for a couple of years when we were awful, Michael Jordan was calling a lot of shots. So
I think it's a matter of wrong place, wrong time because Malik Monk, he was paired beside Kimba at first, right?
yeah,
And
Yeah.
they're both so short, like
Yeah.
and they're like easy to overpower.
it's really their defense.
him
like,
with
neither-
LaMelo would work, I think.
Yeah, true.
Well, I haven't been to a lot of Hornets games, excuse me. I haven't been to a whole lot of Hornets games, but I remember watching Malik Monk probably score about 19. I can't remember if it was in the fourth quarter or the second half against the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis, and we ended up running away from the Bucks last minute
Dang.
off of Malik Monk. So I at that moment I was like, okay, this guy can play.
Oh yeah.
if the Hornets can beat the Bucks, then Malik Monk can play.
Dear God. So you would think, wow, 2 40-point games in the same game. That's insane. There was another one. Kawhi Leonard dropped 44 for the Clippers.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I don't even know if you said that De'Aaron Fox. Did you say that he dropped 40?
Yeah, he dropped 42.
Yeah, that's crazy to have two 40-point scorers on the same team.
But 3 in the same game.
That is wild.
Nuts.
Wild.
42, 43, and 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Did Fox
44.
and
44, my bad.
did Fox and Monk play together at Kentucky, or were they different times? Weren't they both
Fox
Kentucky
and
players?
Monk, yeah, because that was the team that the championship team for UNC beat in the Final Four.
Yeah, that's right.
Bam Adebayo was also on that team.
Dear Lord, that
Kentucky's
was
had some crazy
It was
teams.
insane.
I mean, Devin Booker came off the bench for a Kentucky team. Just think about that.
Yeah,
That's absolutely crazy.
Kentucky recruiting is next level.
Because they know that they're going to be a one and done.
Yeah, Calipari.
Calipari didn't mind one and dones.
And it actually, I mean, not to get into the college basketball landscape of things, but things are definitely changing a little bit. But because, like, now, I mean, you know, it's going back to kind of like a 4-year player is very valuable for your team to have, and you can get them in the transfer portal. That's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
I think that's happening for college, but I think we're also the more the one and done players are choosing to play international ball rather than go to college
Or G League
or G
night.
League.
or G League. And now we're getting age rule changes to where more of those players are going to be able to hop possibly straight to the league. So.
Yeah. And also for the Clippers, Russell Westbrook, like you said, 17 points, 14 assists, 5 rebounds, 7 turnovers, and he fouled out.
That's a true Russell Westbrook game right there.
Hey, you'll
all the
take
good
it.
and all the bad.
Yeah. Nick Batum had 19 points and 8 rebounds off the bench. And Norman Powell had 24 off the bench for the Clippers.
As a Hornets fan, how does it feel to know that Nick Batum is driving out here in these streets?
Well, okay, so as a Hornets fan, I had a love-hate relationship with Nicholas Batum. When he first got to the Hornets, he was like the exact player we needed. And, like, honestly, that was, like, my favorite Hornets team I remember with, like, Jeremy Lin as our backup point guard, going to Game 7 against the Miami Heat, you know, the LeBron James-less Miami Heat, let me mind you. But we were, like, tied. We were tied. I believe 6, 4, 5, and 3 in the Eastern Conference all had the same record. So we were tied for the 3rd seed in the East. And then only downhill from that moment. I think also I love Jeremy Lin, one of my favorite players in NBA history.
Yeah.
So not one of the best, but one of my favorite.
Not going to lie, I thought Nick Batum was retired.
No way.
Completely
That's
thought he was
fair.
retired.
I didn't know where he was. I mean, he's just out here hiding.
I guess as a Hornets fan, that's why I knew he was still there. Now, at the end of his Hornets career was not a good relationship. He was kind of sitting out, not playing, so we had to get rid of him.
I think he's a great role player to have coming off your bench.
Especially, I mean, he's old now, but prime Nicholas Batum was like a player you wanted for sure. He was a great defender, great shooter, underrated playmaker. Like, he was a really good player.
True.
So we're shooting this on Saturday. The first games after the All-Star breaks happen on Thursday. And since we restarted from the All-Star break, there have been, including that game with the Kings and the Clippers, 7 40-point games.
So did you say they started Thursday? So there's only been 2 nights of games, or did they start Wednesday?
Did it start Wednesday? I thought it was Thursday for some reason.
I don't know. I was asking.
I think it
Excellent
was
point.
Thursday.
All right, well, maximum of 3 days, maybe even
Yeah.
2 nights. There has been, how many you said?
7.
40-point scores.
Lauri Markkanen dropped 43 to beat the Thunder in overtime. He led the Utah Jazz past the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 39 in that game. Along with that, Miles Turner dropped 40 just to fall short to the Celtics in overtime.
And you know what this makes me think of?
What?
It makes me think, because, like, you know, with all the people are saying, like, scoring is getting out of hand, and, like, you know, they made changes to help offenses, like, get rid of the hand check rule and things like that. This just makes you, like, look at a player like Alonzo Ball, Marcus Smart, Patrick Beverly, and be like, wow, I cannot believe you're able to do the job that you do so well, because, like, everything's stacked against you.
Yeah, in that same game, Jason Tatum dropped 31 and 12 rebounds. Jaylen Brown had 30 points and 11 rebounds, and Malcolm Brogdon had 24 points off the bench.
Yeah, lots of crazy scoring. The fact that you can have 3 guys score basically 25, 30, and 30, ooh, that's crazy.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just don't know. Like, is this sustainable for the NBA to like be this all? I mean, they want to be an offensive league. Every league
you want to watch that.
entertainment, but is it good for the league? Is it healthy? Like, is this what's like the people want to see it, but they're gonna get tired of it, right? It's like when you get like a new toy that's shiny and exciting, like you get like the PS5. Like at first you're like enamored with it, and you still have fun like watching it. Like you still enjoy watching the NBA, but you're not gonna like be as excited as you first were, and it's gonna be like, oh, another 150-point night, cool deal.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's just going to start to like devalue, a 30-point per game. Like that's starting to get okay. If you're a good player, you should get 30 points. But as far as like growth in the league, I almost think that's kind of where a lot of sports are going. I mean, they're wanting as much action as possible. Like a lot of the reasons that people like college football better than the NFL is because there's ridiculous scoring in college football.
But that's just like eventually you're going to expect more and more, and the dopamine hits are going to get weaker and weaker. That's what my concern is. I think eventually you see one team come out of nowhere, switching it around with a defensive scheme.
Oh, yeah.
And just have a squad and go all the way.
Oh, yeah.
They're holding every single team to under 80 points a game. And just
that would be wild.
That would be my strategy. Where we're going.
That'd be hilarious.
I'm assembling the defensive Avengers.
No, it's definitely going to change expectations if it keeps up that way.
For sure.
This is going to hurt Nate as a Wizards fan. Julius Randle dropped 46 to lead the Knicks past the Wizards.
Fluke is Julius Randle. No, I don't mean that.
He shot 7 for 14 from 3.
Which is crazy because I'm pretty sure he didn't make 7 3. Like I know he had more than 7 points, but I'm not sure if he made more than 7 threes in the 3-point contest.
I know for a fact that Kevin Huerter didn't. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Dang, that's crazy. The insults. Like Julius Randle, he's a very solid player. New York is where he needs to be. He just needs another piece there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good if you want to finish like around a play-in spot. Then Julius Randle being your guy is all you need.
So basically what you said is they're mid.
Yeah. And that's coming from a Hornets fan who's like bottom feeding off of the NBA. But that's fine. We're going for Victor. I'm trying to speak into existence.
I hope y'all get him. That would be the best fit.
Yeah,
Him and LaMelo would be nice.
I just don't want him to go to Houston. That would just be such a waste.
I'd rather him go to like San Antonio, the Hornets.
I would want him to
anywhere.
go to the Hornets. Him and LaMelo would be scary.
Or honestly, I'd take Scooter Henderson. Like I know some people are not a fan of like two guards, but like when you have to stop two ball handlers from scoring, and they kind of like LaMelo Ball dropped 32 points or something like last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they won.
Well,
It's hard to stop two guards who can get a bucket at any point.
the only way he works on the Rockets is if they just let him be the point guard because Victor.
Oh my gosh.
Because like no disrespect to KPJ and what's their
Jalen
others?
Green.
Jalen Green.
But like they the reason Jabari Smith isn't thriving is because he's not getting good playmaking set up for him.
Oh.
And he needs to be past the ball and set up. So
Mm-hmm.
Jabari Smith is like, I think he's a solid player. If you traded anywhere else, he'd be a great role player on your team at least.
Yeah. And then lastly, Klay Thompson dropped 42 to lead the Warriors past the Rockets. Speaking of the Rockets.
Well, good.
Yeah, good for them.
Klay passed Steph Curry for the most 12-plus point 3-point games.
Good for
And
him.
out of them two, I don't know who else.
Right,
I think it's all time most 12-point games.
Yeah, I'm sure because
But-
I don't think there's a whole lot of those games.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, well, that's all the news from this week. We have a brand new segment coming up for you guys. This is called Pick One.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get straight into that segment, and I'm going to present everyone with a scenario, and we're gonna go in like just a regular 1, 2, 3 back to Nate. If Nate has the first pick, and we're gonna just draft our players based on whatever scenario is presented. So, for example, our first scenario is I need you to name 5 guys that can get you a bucket. So we'll go with Nate, then Seth, then me, then back to Nate, and obviously there'll be no repeats. So if Nate picks Michael Jordan to get him a bucket, there will be no Michael Jordan on me or Seth's list. We're not
the first
saying,
pick I picked. No, I'm just joking.
I was gonna say we're not just just because he's only on one list doesn't mean that we're not saying that he's not good enough for our list. I just want to make sure that one appearance. So
Yeah. Okay. Am I first?
I mean, is that cool with you?
Yeah, you can go first.
With the number 1 overall selection in the first pick 1 draft, I select Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
honestly, I thought I was gonna have Shaq too high because I have Shaq high because let's think about Prime Shaq. You're not stopping Prime Shaq unless you
not.
throw a double. So, and we're kind of
True.
talking
You
about
can
just.
put Yao Ming on Prime Shaq. He's still scoring.
I agree. I
Yeah,
thought I was gonna be high.
I know the
but-
thought of get a bucket. It's like, oh, let me cross someone up and get a bucket. But no, let me throw it down low to Shaq.
I got some.
Like,
Hey, I like where your head's at. I got some players, some big
Most-
men on my list. So.
most dominant NBA player all time.
All right. I mean, in his prime.
There's an argument
There's
for
prime.
it, yeah.
Okay.
Is it me next?
Yep.
I'm going to sound biased as I can be right here.
Oh, God.
With my number 1 pick and the second overall pick, I'm taking Wardell Stephen Curry.
I knew that was coming.
Hey, so just to clarify for everyone, we're not making like an actual team. So if like Nate's is like has
All-
3 centers,
All
don't
sinners.
yeah, don't hate on him. I don't even want to. I mean, do you have anything to say about Curry, or are you just like, yep, that's my guy, I'm going with it?
That's my guy, and I'm going with it. I mean, it's the greatest 3-point scorer of all time.
He's a good inside
Very
finisher, too.
underrated inside finisher. If you throw a trap on him to try to double team him, he's going to find the open man.
Did you know that
Simple as that.
Seth Curry, not Steph Curry, of course, lower volume, is the 3rd best 3-point shooter percentage-wise all time?
I did.
Really?
I did actually know that, and actually, I
Good for
believe-
him,
It's
honestly.
kind of ironic. I'm pretty sure Hubert Davis is in the top 5
Let's go.
I
That's my
don't
boy.
really.
of career 3-point shooters in the NBA.
Let's go.
I don't want to get off track, but like Seth Curry, I watched the whole video today on if he had stayed with Liberty, he could have had Seth like
I've seen
Steph
that
like
exact-
potential.
I honestly kind of agree
because
with that.
I've
he
seen
would
that
have had
video.
the Steph Curry because he was putting up similar numbers, not quite as good, and they're playing for that smaller school. But when he went to Duke, he took that lesser role. But yeah, I didn't want to get off too far off track.
No,
but I thought it was
that's
interesting.
That's fair because really the only thing that really hurt him and like as far as the NBA is how long it took him to get into the NBA. Because as soon as he got to the NBA, he did well, but he was starting to get older.
Also, I don't know what my deal is, bro. I'm yawning so much. Sorry. Off topic.
So I don't think it's gonna come as a surprise to anyone because he was number 1 on my board. I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan. So
Why would you pick him?
I don't think I have to say anything. Michael Jordan, yeah.
All right, we're back around to me.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, well,
I'm
I
keeping
think
track of who I picked.
I'm going to
too.
go ahead and
that's
pick
what I'm
this
about
guy
to do.
because I think my next guy's going to be on the board regardless. With the number 2 overall pick, I'm going to go with Luka Doncic.
Hey, so
I can't believe I didn't think of him.
So
Good for
far,
you.
everyone named has been on my board, but a little bit down. So
I came down to him or one other person for my second pick, but I think Luka, man, he's just like you don't expect it, but he's going to get the bucket
He's
somehow.
so dominant.
Hey,
dude.
I had him now further down my list, but I had him too, so I can't argue. It was a solid choice.
Is me?
Yep.
Go ahead.
With my second pick, I'm taking Kevin Durant.
Oh, that stinks. That's exactly who I was taking.
Yes, sir.
That's a great
We're pairing the
pick.
boys back up.
I
We're winning all the championships again.
Hey.
I don't want to talk about your guy because you just took Kevin Durant, but like I honestly had Kevin Durant second. I feel like the size, the finishing, the shooting, like there's Kevin Durant might be if we're talking about scores, like honestly, I have him as the second best guy to
He's top 3
get the ball,
scorer
give me
of
a
all
bucket.
time. Yep. All right, Steven.
All right, so that leaves me with the interesting choice. I am a little torn. And now, obviously, we're not making teams, so the fact that I took kind of a ball-dominant guy, Michael Jordan, doesn't have any effect on my second guy. I think, and now this is probably going to be super hated because a lot of people don't give this guy the credit I think he deserves, but I'm going to go with Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people think that he went against like
A bunch of dentists.
right? And that's true. He went. I mean, I'm pretty sure the average height of the NBA at the time he was playing was
I
like
mean,
6'7". So
Fair. He did play against a bunch of dentists, but he was so much better than that group of dentists.
Yeah.
I
that
mean,
it's-
and I also think it's worth noting. I don't know if we've ever, and I'm talking about like to the modern day NBA, seen a center with his jumping ability, his strength, and his size all in one. I mean, and his speed.
I think the strength
Because
is a big one there.
He
yeah.
he was fast. Like he kind of looks about the same speed as a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not saying he's the same speed, but I'm just saying that's
And weren't there rumors he could bench like 500 pounds or something?
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
You wouldn't think because
He
he,
was
looks so
trained-
lanky. You wouldn't think he was as strong as he was.
he was trying to fight Muhammad Ali. And now I'm not saying he would have beat Muhammad Ali. Like that's crazy, but like that just kind of tells you the athleticism that this man had. So I'm taking Will
Right.
Chamberlain.
That boy got
Okay.
a dog in him.
So for my third overall pick, I'm going with someone, as long as free throws count as buckets, but even so, I'm picking prime James Harden. Y'all don't like the pick?
No, I honestly I don't have him on my list.
I didn't
but
either, but
Does
I'm also
prime
don't
count?
love James Harden, so
I don't either, but like I can't deny watching Houston James Harden
That's
when he was
true.
on his MVP run. No one was stopping him from getting his points.
And as long as we
Yeah.
have the modern day NBA refs, he's gonna get to the free throw line. So I mean, that's a very fair.
yeah.
I know it's kind of like out of left field, but that's my
Nah,
pick.
I respect it. I respect it.
Can we? I wonder if we can come to consensus here. Was James Harden a big poster child for highlight hooping?
Successful highlight hooping.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's
because
fair.
his team. I mean, like I'm not saying like they should have, but like they were very close to beating. To me, the best team ever assembled was that Warriors team because you took a 73-9 Warriors team and added Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Didn't they have two opportunities? Weren't they leading the series like 3-2?
I don't
something
remember.
like that.
To be honest.
So like they had two opportunities to take down the best team ever assembled. So like, highlight hooper, yes, but like it was effective. So
You can
it
only
was
be so
effective.
much of a highlight hooper and play beside Chris Paul successfully.
That's very true.
Nice.
Very
so over
true.
to you for your third pick.
My third pick, I'm taking Kobe Bean Bryant.
Great pick. I was waiting for that one to go off the board.
I actually have two people above Kobe, but
And here's the thing. I think Kobe doesn't get as much credit from certain people because people are like, oh, he's so over. Some people are like, oh, he's so overrated. But also, yes, it's very agreeable. The last few years of his career definitely brought down his hype a little bit and brought down his numbers as well, his stats. But dude, those
Prime Kobe?
2000, mid 2000s, even early 2000s to like 2011, 2012, there's nothing you could do to stop that man from getting the ball in the basket. It was ridiculous.
see,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
agree.
have nothing really to say. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal my next guy, LeBron James. Surprise, surprise. Gonna go with the guy who has the most points scored in NBA history.
LeBron wasn't on my list.
Really?
I was trying to be different
Wow.
though, so
Oh,
it's
that's
okay.
fair. But the only reason I would personally have LeBron above Kobe is now something that Kobe has that I honestly, not very many other players in the NBA have. Like, he has the ability to make any shot. It doesn't matter if it's, got 7-footer right in his face, no space to get the ball off. Like, he has the I just think he takes a few too many of those shots and, probably brought down his field goal percentage. But anyway, I can't argue. He was right after LeBron on my list, so I'm going to go with LeBron for my third pick. Now to you, Nate, with your
We're
fourth
back
pick.
around to me.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So with the fourth overall pick, I'm getting so wedged and I can't make decisions, but I'm just going to stay true to my list here, and I'm going to go Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's not.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another dominant pick, like Shaq level dominance at prime. Like he's still in his prime. So I'm going with Giannis. I think he can get me a bucket any moment of any day. So
It's very fair. With my next pick, I'll be taking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
excellent pick.
Very good.
I thought about him too. All right.
If you don't have anything else.
Wait, who was your last pick? Sorry, my ADD kicked in.
Mine?
Yeah.
Giannis.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I have written out 1, 2, 3. I made a list of players and I added some extra players because I didn't know who Seth and Nate was going to take. But I'm going to end up getting 4 out of my 5 top players that I wanted. The only one I'm missing
Wow.
out on is Kevin Durant.
Okay.
But I'm going to get Larry Bird. And I know that seems wild to some people, but like if you watch anyone from Larry Bird's era talk about Larry Bird, like everyone assumes Larry Bird was unathletic just because he was not the highest jumper, but like he had speed that very few people realize. Like he was fast. And you think about a fast guy who can, again, kind of make any shot, I'll take him.
Okay. All right, so my last pick, bro. I'm so torn between 2 players right now. And I'll name the other player. Oh, sorry. I just shook everything. I'll name the other player after I pick my first one. But I think for my final pick, I'm going to go Allen Iverson.
That was my next pick.
I
Dang
knew he had to
it.
go eventually.
The follow-up, I
Good
just
for you.
the ability to create off the dribble. He's my one guy I'm going off the dribble with that's going to score
Yep.
like crazy. Luka, yes, but and Harden, but not to the same as AI. Because AI, he doesn't have to pull the 3. He can, but he's getting to the rim.
Yeah.
But my follow-up to that was Dwayne Wade, Prime Wade.
That's very fair.
Another
I
good
I was
choice.
so stuck between those two.
No,
but
that's fair.
AI is my last pick.
I believe that the guy under this man on my list is actually better all time, but this guy was the better scorer between the two, in my opinion. And this actually fills out a 1 through 5 that I didn't unintentionally got. With my final pick, I'm taking Dirk Nowitzki.
That was your pick?
That was. I kid you not. My very next pick.
We each picked each other's
My
next
two
pick.
honorable mentions that were left on my list were Tim Duncan, and then I don't know. I wonder if you had this because we talked about this guy before, Pete Maravich.
Oh, I thought about him a second ago. Like I was like, Pete would be. I thought
He
more
just missed the cut for my
playmaking.
top 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I
So-
name my other 3 real quick that were on my list?
Oh, can I finish my
yeah,
draft?
go ahead and finish your draft. Wow, that
No,
felt so
I do have
offended.
to say though, I put a list of 15 together. So now that I have my last pick, 13 of the 15 people I've picked have been marked out. So I think we all kind of agree. I'm just gonna go with the guy that I'm surprised no one's even kind of mentioned his name yet. I'm gonna go with Kyrie Irving just because
Okay.
if you're talking about get him the
Okay.
ball and he will get you a bucket,
He can't get a bucket if he's not in the game, Steven.
you know, as long as he can keep it non-controversial off the
Oh,
court.
I was talking about like choosing not to play an injury, but you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, that's more of a quiet litter. That's why he couldn't make the list.
True.
Yeah.
Well, my honorable mentions, then we can do our honorable mentions. Go
I
around.
just have one.
One I said Dwayne Wade, but my other ones are Damian Lillard.
Very good.
And the other two are going to be like kind of, I told Steven these already, but they're kind of like, they're not superstars. But I'm going Jamal Crawford
Very good.
and Lou Williams.
Very good.
That
That was
right.
Get a
literally
bucket.
their job was to go get a bucket. So
Yeah.
I mean,
two of the best six mans of all time, honestly.
Yes.
Who were your honorable mentions?
did you have any? That you
Oh yeah, I already said mine. Tim Duncan and Pete Maravich.
Oh yeah, my bad. I only have one that I put on my list of 15 players that did not get taken, and I'm just gonna go with Bob Pettit. And I know that's like but like I'm pretty sure if you check, he's points per game is like top 10 in NBA scoring, and it's just because of his rare ability. Like he was a 6'7" big man, so like he was faster than any big man and was a much better shooter. So he just was a matchup nightmare for almost anyone.
I can't speak too much on Bob Pettit, but I believe you.
I know a little bit about Pop Pettit. I wouldn't have thought anyone would have said him, but I honestly, it makes sense. I think he gets overlooked a lot in certain conversations about I think he made top 75, the NBA 75 team, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I'm
did.
pretty
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, but I was like, 'cause I remember when that came out, people were like, "Who's Bob Pettit?" I was like, "If only y'all knew."
Yeah,
bro.
now Bob Pettit was a
That boy
bucket.
was crazy.
All right, so our next scenario we're going to be moving on to is perimeter defenders. So we're going to
Start
name
with you.
3 guys that can get you a defensive stop, pretty much the opposite. And we're going perimeter. You know, let's say they're going up against a guy like a Kyrie Irving or maybe of a Michael Jordan. You know, I mean, are you going to be able to stop Michael Jordan? Probably not. But a guy you would put on your front lines that you want to stop on the perimeter.
Okay.
So, I
You
get
get
the
a first
pick.
pick. I think we should like mix it up.
I am thrilled. I will happily take this. I'm going to go with Gary Payton with my first pick.
Great pick.
Awesome pick.
Other than Marcus Smart, pretty sure he was the last guard to win Defensive Player of the Year. So, and he's won it multiple times. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I looked it up. I saw he only won it once.
I thought he won it twice.
Even
I
so,
could be
it's
tripping.
enough.
Yeah,
Still,
a
but
guard winning.
He was still a
Defensive Player of the
9-time first all-team defense, though.
Oh,
Year. Wow, he got all the stats. My bad. I thought he won it twice. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, you can go next.
you're next.
Oh, okay. With my number 2 pick, I am taking Sidney Moncrief.
I have him on my list, but not second. That's, I mean, but fair enough.
2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time first-team All-Defense.
Your first pick. That's a good. I think he's
Very
great.
good.
I just didn't think about him. Sidney Moncrief is one of those names that flies under the radar, but
For
you look
sure.
him up and it's like, whoa.
For sure.
Yep.
There's a lot of those guys, but yeah, for sure, he's definitely one of them.
My number 1 pick is Tony Allen.
First team all defense.
First-team All-Defense.
There's no telling how many times I've quoted that. So
He is that guy.
I
on
love it.
defense.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna go to Kawhi Leonard next. I realize that there might be someone that's like, but to me, I love Kawhi Leonard's actual like his defense ability is very high. He has more. I think he's one of. I believe it's only him and Jimmy Butler that has more career steals than career fouls
Dang.
in the NBA. So like he's really good. He doesn't commit a lot of fouls, and he's 6'7" with like huge hands and long arms. So he will give you anything you need on defense. So I'm gonna go with Kawhi.
Great pick.
With my second pick, I'm going to take that boy Michael Jordan.
That was going to be my next
Yep.
one.
Yep.
One-time Defensive Player of the Year, 9 times straight first-team All-Defense.
I mean, I think someone like Michael Jordan gets kind of overlooked for their defense. Like,
That was one of my first thoughts.
right? He was really good. He wasn't just scoring.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, my second pick, I'm going with none other than Kobe Bean Bryant.
Very fair.
Wow.
Excellent
okay.
defender over the 3-year stretch we talked about, where he was going crazy mid-2000s. He was one of the best two-way players in the game.
Yeah,
People
he's an
don't
overlooked
talk about that
defensive
a lot.
player.
Right.
He was a defensive beast. He made a lot of all-defensive teams and never got credit for it. So.
Yeah.
I hate to compare him to, but like it's the exact same thing with Michael Jordan because he was so good on offense. The defense gets overlooked, but he was really good.
Yep.
So good pick. With my last pick, then I'm gonna go with Joe Dumars. Very good defender. Again, one of those guys that because he hasn't played, he didn't play in the 2000s. Like I feel like a lot of players who didn't play in the 2000s, 2010s kind of get overlooked. But he's a really, really good defender.
I think you could pick anyone off those bad boy Pistons team and be okay.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, you're right.
Bro, I'm stuck between two guys, and they actually have the same exact accolades.
Wow.
So, all right, I'm gonna just throw it. I'm just gonna pick one, and then I have two honorable mentions we can talk about after. I'm gonna go with Michael Cooper. One-time Defense Player of the Year, 5-time first-team All-Defense, 3-time second-team All-Defense.
Yeah, very solid.
I like that pick, even though I don't know anything about Michael Cooper.
He was on the Showtime.
I can't believe I'm
Lakers.
calling my. Okay, now that you say that, it rings a bell.
Yeah.
Okay, that clicked in a little bit better.
Good
I
player.
just I wasn't expecting the name. It caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my final pick. I'm going with Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
He was on my list.
Yeah.
Great defender. Right there, him and MJ. That defensive duo was nasty.
It was crazy.
Part of the reason they were so good. And then you throw in Dennis Rodman, and that's just a lot of defense.
Dear God.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Well, I actually have no honorable mentions. I mean, there's probably a ton of players that we missed, and probably some players that are better defensively than what we even named. But Scottie Pippen was my last guy, so.
All right. Well, I don't have any honorable mentions either.
I do. Number one, which is the guy that I was debating with Michael Cooper, Bruce Bowen from the Spurs.
Yep.
One-time Defensive
Totally
Player
forgot
of the
all about
Year,
Bruce Bowen.
5-time first-team All-Defense, 3-time second-team All-Defense.
Yeah, no, he's really, really good.
You know what's? Go ahead.
So, no, you're good. What were you going to say?
What's sad about this is how many of these names are people not from this era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because, I'm not trying to say that, but, defense is harder now, and it's a mixture of players. First of all, players have more skill. I don't think that's, there's a lot more, I'm not saying, the modern-day player is better than, a Michael Jordan, but there's a lot more players that can score at will. And plus, like you said, kind of like what you said, the NBA is actually getting to a point where they're trying to make higher and higher scoring games, so it's harder and harder to be one of those really good defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And then my other honorable mention, which is a guy that I think it's very overlooked for his defense, Dennis Johnson, the point guard from the Larry Bird Celtics teams.
True.
3-time, he was 6'4", 3-time first-team All-Defense, 2-time second-team All-Defense. And honestly, if you watch games, that boy was a dog.
Yeah.
He was scrappy, he was raw, and he wasn't afraid to get down, take charges, dive on the floor. Very good hustle player.
Hashtag old style Pat Beverly.
Exactly. Honestly, yeah.
All right. Well, that takes us to our last draft, which is.
Oh, yep. We're doing players to facilitate your offense. And now, I feel like you can kind of take that however you want. When I think of facilitating an offense, I'm thinking of someone who, I can put in charge and, they can balance between scoring themselves and getting others involved. Okay. So I'm not saying someone who, you might not want to go with, the guy who can't buy himself a bucket, but, the guy who can get your offense rolling at a high clip. So that's what I think of when I think of facilitate your offense.
Well,
so should we go with Seth?
He gets first pick, and
Yeah.
we'll go this way.
Yeah, I'll start.
You next?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I didn't think about it as also can score for himself and
Well,
make
it doesn't have
for
to
others.
be.
It's mostly
So
get someone else. a
But
bucket,
one part about being a good facilitator is being able to score if you need to.
right, yeah.
Because
Fair.
if you're not a threat, they're just going to look for the pass.
But I have guys up here who are not known for their scoring. So
I'm gonna go number one pick, Magic Johnson.
Great.
I mean-
top tier. One of the best facilitators of all times.
Yep, very good.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with his second coming. I'm going with LeBron James as my number one overall
Those
pick.
were my top 2 picks. So,
LeBron was my number 3.
so no surprise there. I'm going with the guy that I feel like he gets overlooked a lot for his playmaking, and I'm gonna go with Larry Bird again because maybe you call me a Larry Bird lover, but like
Sometimes
he could facilitate a lot better, and he was a really good passer and a willing passer.
Sometimes being a top tier scorer makes you automatically a great facilitator,
Kinda.
because you're double teamed and other people are open.
I mean, honestly, and now LeBron has one of the highest IQs, but like he's the perfect example of like, okay, well, sometimes you have to throw a double because if LeBron's feeling it, you're gonna have
Or
to throw
triple.
a double. Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to find the open guy every single time.
Is that mine next?
Back to you.
My second pick, I'm going to take John Stockton.
I mean,
I feel really good about that pick.
so yeah, no, really good.
Okay. Well, my number 2 pick, I'm taking none other than Christopher Paul. I think he is I was between him and one other guy from the number 2, but I think that's just a great example of a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John Stockton, yes, and then Chris Paul, today's John Stockton. I mean, a little bit different game style, of course, but yeah.
So I just think it's interesting really quickly before I say my pick. So first of all, we all start off with like a 6'8", 6'9" guy who can facilitate. And then you both went with a short guard. And I was going to go with both of your guys as like, I mean, we're almost following to a T what I had, but I'm going to go with a slightly different aspect. And I'm going to go with Nikola Jokic. Just because there's only a few centers in NBA history who can pass like Nikola Jokic can. So.
I agree. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Celtics Al Horford back in the day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure, and now I might be off by a couple, but like he literally pretty much had 25 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists the other night. I mean,
I didn't see that one coming. But
what more can you ask from a center? So I'm going with Jokic with my second pick.
Speaking of yours, who was your last guy?
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. Honestly, obviously, I want the Warriors to win the championship this year, but if they can't, I want the Suns to win it just for Chris Paul.
And if he
deserves it, man.
If they pick up D Rose and have him win a ring with them,
yeah, bro,
beautiful.
Chris Paul deserves a ring, man, and I want him to have one before he retires.
He does.
With my final pick, I'm gonna take Pistons legend Isaiah Thomas.
I love it.
Yeah, can't go wrong with Zeke.
All right. With my final pick, I'm going with a beautiful Mike D'Antoni run offense. And it was 7 seconds or less with Steve Nash.
That was my fourth one. That was my next pick if I had it.
Ooh, none other.
You can't argue. Solid pick. So that leaves me with one more. And it's funny because I said someone who can balance scoring and passing. And this guy was pretty much just passing, but it was crazy to watch. He was one of my favorite point guards to watch because it was wild because he would pass it to someone who was not open, but by the time the ball got to them, they were in the perfect position to score. So I'm going to go with Rajon Rondo.
Okay. I love it.
He's
When you were talking about passing, I was
said that
thinking
a
like
lot,
Jason Williams. I was like, wait,
No,
He's on
yeah,
my honorable mentions.
who? Jason Williams?
Yeah.
no, that's really good too. But Rondo is just one of my favorite point guards, and obviously, it's just kind of funny how, like, someone like a Rondo or a Ricky Rubio get so overlooked, but like when they're not on the team, as soon as they left the team, or like with Ricky Rubio getting hurt with the Cavs, you saw immediately how much worse they got, and kind of with the Lakers when Rondo left. So
yeah, I had Rondo on my list originally. I took him off just because of the attitude issues that seemed to be seemed to be the main thing that held him back.
I might need to take someone off my list then.
Yeah,
with some coaches, yeah.
But my only honorable mention that wasn't picked was Stephen Curry.
Okay.
I think he's a very overlooked facilitator.
He's probably on every list for Seth.
I mean, yes, that's kind of like what you said with the score. Like, I feel like Stephen Curry could be an average, but because he draws so much attention, he's just going to get other people. So
my thing, he's a great facilitator. The thing is he's a score first.
Yeah.
He scores first, which I mean, he can do. So
very much so. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Well, I mentioned one, Jason Williams. My other honorable mention was Draymond Green.
I also thought of him.
I think he's a better facilitator than Steph Curry.
He is.
Because he runs that offense.
Yeah.
All he has to do, though, is stand at the top of the key and say, Clay or Steph. And
Yeah,
he messes
exactly.
up.
Around the screen this time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Jordan Poole?
All right, so
I
there's
think,
only-
honestly, Clay's an underrated facilitator as well.
I mean, what really
And defender.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
what makes the Warriors so good and what made them good, kind of still makes them good, is that they shared the ball. So like maybe you want to pit Steve Kerr is a great facilitator because he's got that offense running.
Andrew Bogut? No, I'm just kidding.
Honestly,
Oh
he was a
my
decent
gosh.
passing center, I believe, wasn't he? Wasn't he a pretty good passer?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I think he was just mostly known for shot blocking. But
Yeah.
I just had one honorable mention. Luka Doncic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't
the-
know how we didn't think of him at all.
Yeah, kind of the same aspect. He's such a great scorer that even an average playmaking guy who can score at Luka Doncic is going to rack up assists. And then you take to the fact that he's above average at playmaking, I'd say, and it's recipe for perfection.
I agree.
So that's all of our segments for today. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere you get your podcasts, then go check out our YouTube channel and subscribe over there, where you can actually see the visual representation of the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, what's up? Go check out our Spotify and Apple Music and any streaming service that you could get podcasts on. Also check out our Instagram, which is Let the Play Develop Pod, and our TikTok, which is also at Let the Play Develop Pod. You have anything you want to say?
That's it for me.
That's it for me.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for watching today. We'll see you next time. Peace.